Exhuma is a 2024 Korean film written and directed by Jang, Jae-hyun. This was my first experience with any of this director's films, but it is his third feature, and he has written everything he's directed so far, which I always think is super cool. Now, I was pretty late to this film, but it has been, one of the more talked about this year in the horror world, at least from what, from what I've heard. The title of the film means exhuming and relocation of a grave, and that is exactly what it's about. The plot follows a team of professionals hired to do a job for a wealthy real estate developer whose newborn son was born with an illness that has left doctors completely confused. Despite being completely healthy, he can't stop crying literally every moment of the day. Doctors, again, completely stumped across the board. So he reaches out to a Korean shaman and her protege, a geomancer, and a mortician. Hey, I mean, the guy's got money. If doctors can't help, he's got to try to figure out something. The shaman believes that it is some sort of ancestral curse, and that by performing a exhumation ritual involving an ancestor's grave just might be the solution. And I actually had to do some research on Korean culture because I didn't know what parts of this story were supposed to be accurate or not. And it turns out that shamans and geomancers very much exist in Korea to this day. Koreans, from what I have gathered, I did do some research, so if you're Korean and you're reading this, I apologize deeply if I'm wrong about anything here, but from what I found, Koreans are not typically super religious, but they do follow a lot of old traditions. And this kind of reminded me of Native American culture, which I thought was really cool. And in a certain way, this team of people actually, I don't know if it's just me, but they reminded me of, like, the Korean Ghostbusters. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that comparison was at all intended, but I digress. And these characters, they're great. They're really, really good, which is one thing I noticed with a lot of Asian cinema lately. And really going back years and years. I'm actually somewhat reminded of the cast of Godzilla -1, as far as the individual characters go. These guys and girls reminded me of that team that we got from Godzilla -1, which I thought was awesome because I loved the hell out of those characters. Just all very likable, acting spot on with everybody. So anyways, this team somewhat hesitantly accepts the job, and things really, they just spiral out of control. And I will say, the plot here is fairly complex, and I'd say more about it, but I think it's best that I don't, because this whole story is it just continuously unfolds right until the end. I did like how it's split into chapters, 5 or 6, I think, if I remember correctly, somewhere around there, which I think pairs very well with the very stylish cinematography and aesthetics of this film. And I found this watch to be very engaging. It brings originality, at least I thought, to the occult and like supernatural horror genres. But I did make one mistake previous to watching this, and that was having expectations that this would be a super scary watch. And I mean, I hate to say that, but I only thought it because I saw it come up so many times online. I mean, it's no big deal. I just didn't think this film was really all that scary. Not trying to be, Mr. Tough Guy over here. I just didn't. Other than that, though, I mean, in my opinion, this film does pretty much everything right. The visual effects look great. It's such a nice movie to look at. Again, the cinematography, awesome. The acting, the writing. This movie does have it all, like I said, but after all the praise that I, heaped on it, I wouldn't really say that I loved the film. I wanted it to be scary, or at least scarier than it was. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely horror. Definitely has scary moments, but I mean, overall, it just didn't scare me like I wanted it to. But don't get me wrong, I will absolutely watch this movie again, probably numerous times. Overall, just because I do think it's that good. And also, this is one thing I thought was kind of weird. This is apparently a Shudder film, like a Shudder. I don't know if it's considered a Shudder original, but it was filmed exclusively for the Shudder platform, which again, I thought was weird, and it confused me since it doesn't say anything about it on the box. I have the movie. There's no Shudder logo anywhere on there. But anyways, that's totally not important. I'm giving Exhuma a 7.5 out of 10. I wanted to love it, but I just didn't, at least yet at this point. It's very good, though. Like I said, And if you liked the movie The Wailing from 2016, another really good Korean film, check this out because I think you might dig it. Cheers, guys.